Hello, Stivad here from Crying Man Studios. This is another episode of Let's Go Old School. Now, as you can see, there's no Obvious. Well, Obvious couldn't be here today, so I decided to make a more straightforward review. Still have a retro game though. And that game is Interplay's Blood and Magic. See? Let's get to it. Blood and Magic is a DOS game. Now, if you have no clue what that means, you're probably too young. Or I'm getting too old. It was released by Interplay in 1996 under the Dungeons and Dragons license, and was one of the first games I ever played. Certainly the first real-time strategy game. While there were of course other RTS games like The Settlers and Command & Conquer, I feel that this one stands out, as it approaches the RTS genre in a completely different way. But more on that later. The game starts out showing a cartoon depiction of all the available units, but no real storyline is mentioned. Although the fighting is pretty intense, and sometimes balances on the edge of laughable. You'll notice that's a recurring theme in this game, and in my book, a good one. Blood and Magic doesn't take itself too seriously. One of the first things you'll notice is the awesome voice acting.
A story for your pleasure?
And when I say voice acting, I mean these people should be the standard for voice acting.
Choose your mage. Wrathgar the Raider.
The voice acting standard, measure, unit, thing. What I'm trying to say is, they're good. Just listen to this piece of lyrical
A
genius.
squatter named Sean Mulhaven camps near Hearn's Wood and harasses all who would pass. When you demand that this mage cease this activity, he bombards you with callous insults. Clearly, this rogue must be taught some manners.
While we're on the subject of audio, I feel the music really matches the themes of the individual levels. And you can hear a lot of effort was put into making a diverse and at times just plain beautiful soundtrack. This, along with the voice acting, contributes to the overall feel of the game. Which brings us to another important mood setter in Blood and Magic: the artwork and graphics. The overall tone of the game is generally bright, colorful, and professionally done. Although some artwork does teeter on the edge of being quirky, and some is even downright creepy. The in-game graphics, although fitting, weren't overly exciting. Of course, from a 1996 perspective, they weren't too bad either, just nothing spectacular. And nothing spectacular is what some people might describe Blood and Magic's gameplay as. Your unit's response time is mediocre at best, and sometimes they just run into each other for no other apparent reason than to piss you off. Fights can be called tedious, and units generally move slowly. If you want fast-paced action and vast high-tech armies, Blood and Magic probably isn't a game you would enjoy very much. What it does have to offer, however, is some of the most unique gameplay mechanics in RTS game history. Okay, maybe that's a little much, but I still think they're nifty. The only resource you need to worry about is mana. Mana is obtained through harvesting your main units, called basal golems. Every couple of seconds your golems generate more mana, which then needs to be manually taken from each one, thus contributing to your total mana. Mana can then be spent on creating more basal golems at something called a blood forge, or to transform existing golems into new combat units. Each building houses their own particular units, and new ones can be researched throughout the game. Some units even have their own special abilities, which also cost mana. These are essential for surviving in a later part of the game. Oh yeah, the difficulty level of Blood and Magic ramps up pretty significantly, especially in the very last stage of the Legendary campaign. You'll find yourself playing this level again and again, until you master it and finally beat the game. This is of course very satisfying. One more important feature I wanted to mention is the clever use of landscapes and obstacles. Some ground tiles grant certain units bonuses, while others might make another unit weaker. This adds a fun new dimension to combat, and was pretty revolutionary in its time. There's also an abundance of items to be found throughout the game. When used, each item grants a different beneficial effect, adding yet another layer to map interaction and combat. So, there you go. Those are my views on Blood and Magic. All in all, a decent game if you ask me. Some good artwork, good music, the voice acting was brilliant. A little slow paced sometimes, but a lot of the unique game mechanics make up for that. I'd give it a rating of 3 crying men. Oh yeah, one more thing before you go. Please be sure to leave a comment or a like, or a dislike if you want, and subscribe to our channel if you enjoyed this video.